Hello and welcome to Neural Notions. I'm Nitisha.
And I'm Kashvi. And this podcast, is something we've been wanting to do for a really long time. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the link that psychology has to different areas of study and subjects.
As we started researching more, we realized that psychology connects to everything.
So we have stuff planned for you related to economics, sociology, computer science, anything else?
Biology, literature, history, and languages.
So, a lot of cool subjects. In terms of topics, we have the psychology of recession spending, the illusion of free will,
And chatbots and the myth of understanding.
So, a lot lined up for sure, and we are massively grateful to you for giving us a chance here. So, today's topic, the first thing we wanted to discuss is gender stereotypes. What's a stereotype that we've all heard, Nitisha?
Kashvi, I've heard that girls are bad at math
Right.
and that boys are better suited for logical thinking while girls are more emotional and empathetic. But those are stereotypes. The science behind brain differences doesn't back those claims.
Exactly. A 2015 study found that after analyzing 1,400 brain scans, what they found is fascinating. There's no such thing as a distinctly male or female brain. Most brains are better described as a mosaic, a mix of features that are traditionally labeled masculine or feminine.
So, if we're not wired that differently, why do those stereotypes feel so real? That's where psychology comes in. One powerful idea is learned helplessness. Imagine you keep trying something, solving math problems, for example, speaking up in class, and it never seems to go well. Eventually, even when you could succeed, you just stop trying.
This concept of learned helplessness comes from experiments in the 1960s on animals. They were placed in situations that they couldn't escape. Over time, even when escape was possible, the animals didn't try. They'd learned that their actions didn't matter. Now, while these experiments on animals are unethical and we couldn't do them today, the findings still apply, especially in the classroom.
Right. If girls grew up hearing that boys are naturally better at science or tech, they may internalize that, even subtly. And over time, they stop trying, stop believing it's for them, even if they have the ability. Same goes for boys being told not to show emotions or pursue creative fields. It limits everyone.
Now that we've talked about the structure of people's brains and the concept of learned helplessness, we'd like to bring in another concept, which is known as neuroplasticity. This concept describes the fact that our brains are literally capable of changing depending on what we feed it.
There's a great study by Dragansky et al. From 2004. Participants learned to juggle, something most of us don't usually do. Comparing a brain scan from before they learned to a brain scan after, there was more gray matter in parts of their brain tied to coordination and vision.
To recap, spending time juggling literally changed the structure of the parts of the brain that make somebody good at juggling. This also has an inverse. When people stopped juggling, gray matter in their brain decreased. So the brain's growth depends on consistent experience. What you practice grows, what you neglect fades. This is known as neural pruning. So by repeatedly juggling, it makes the brain pathways, the neural connection stronger and changes the structure of the brain for better. The inverse is also true. It's a concept known as neural pruning and tells us that an underutilized connection eventually fades away, even though there originally was an ability. So, if a girl avoids maths because she thinks she's just not that good at it, her brain can actively weaken those pathways because they are underused. At the same time, the belief that I'm bad at maths gets stronger and stronger the more it's reinforced. It's a positive feedback loop.
So, Kashvi, I think these stereotypes are creating patterns. These patterns are changing our brains, and then the brain reinforces this stereotype,
A self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will.
but not an irreversible one. That's the hopeful part, because just like the brain can get stuck, it can also grow in new directions, challenge the belief, change the experience, and the brain follows.
So the next time you hear, boys just aren't that good at empathy or girls don't do physics, remember, as a result of internalized bias, not the structure of our brain. And remember, we can change the structure of our brain ourselves. We have that power in us.
So, what can we actually do?
Nitisha, would you agree that sometimes the most obvious answer is the correct one? In this case, that would be to recognize that stereotypes do have the potential to affect our brain and our thinking. We need to recognize that we hold these stereotypes and we need to stop unintentionally enforcing them and perpetuating them. You gotta know the enemy. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are so lucky to have you as a listener, and please stay tuned in for more episodes. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.